stated this: I think we control the controllables. Fever general manager Wnba said, "You are start prepping for obviously the college season, for what's going on internationally, planning out our scouting." Now, it sounds like they are introducing a scouting department for overseas players. Now, from my understanding, they did not have an overseas scouting department. Now, both domestically and internationally, we are talking to all players, doing exit interviews, obviously focus on developmental plans to finding out what their needs are and how we can support them. So really, just focus on what we can control, and as things roll out, we'll be ready to go. The biggest...
All right, get ready, because what just came out of the Indiana Fever front office might flip the entire WNBA landscape upside down. We're talking about a complete roster overhaul that could take this team from fringe playoff hopefuls to full-blown title contenders. Fever GM Amber Cox just pulled back the curtain on her blueprint for the 2026 season, and trust me, some of the moves they're planning are wild. We're talking international scouting missions, potential superstar signings, and a bold strategy that could either cement or completely derail the Caitlin Clark era in Indiana. But before we unpack all that, there's one huge detail you need to know. Time is running out. The CBA agreement deadline hits on Halloween, which means we're less than 2 weeks away from massive changes possibly shaking up the league. And here's the crazy part: the Fever currently have only 3 players locked in for next season: Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Damaris Dantas. That's it. Everyone else? Total uncertainty. So when Amber Cox started laying out the Fever's 2026 vision, every Indiana fan, and honestly, every WNBA watcher, was on the edge of their seat, waiting to see what kind of future she's about to build.
The biggest storyline going into this offseason is going to be Caitlin Clark, Indiana Fever 2026 team. How is they going to build this team to be a super team? I told y'all, I'm sick of playing. We need to damn near solidify us a championship. We need to be up there with the likes of the Las Vegas Aces, the New York Liberty. We need superstars on this team. I'm tired of mediocre role players. We need to build around our 4 core pieces we already got and surround them.
Control the controllables. That's the motto Amber Cox is living by right now. And honestly, it's probably the smartest mindset to have with all the chaos swirling around the WNBA at the moment. But let's unpack what she actually said, because this is where things get really interesting. For the first time ever, the Indiana Fever are rolling out a fully dedicated international scouting department. And if your reaction is, wait, they didn't have one before? Trust me, same here. It's almost shocking when you think about it. A franchise trying to build around a once-in-a-generation talent like Caitlin Clark, yet they weren't even seriously scouting overseas? That's like trying to win a championship with half your roster missing. Now here's where it gets intriguing. The Fever aren't just looking for random international prospects. They're zeroing in on Olympians, battle-tested champions, and players who come with their own loyal fan bases. In other words, these are players with baggage, and not the bad kind. We're talking luxury luggage packed with experience, leadership, and a winning mindset. This isn't just roster building, it's a culture shift in motion.
Superstar players, this is the make or break year for the WNBA as a whole, but especially the make or break year for Caitlin Clark fandom. See, Caitlin Clark fandom was at an all-time high at 23 and 24. Certain things happens in the league that kind of derailed the Caitlin Clark hype. Well, basically derailed the Caitlin Clark effect. Hence, the WNBA pretty much letting players that saw her in year 1, that derailed it. In year 2, Stephanie White kind of taking her off the ball kind of derailed it. But more importantly, the damn WNBA referees hella derailed it. So right now, Caitlin Clark fandom is not what it used to be. Look at the jersey sales, ticket sales, and stuff like that.
And honestly, that same fire, that frustration mixed with hope, is exactly what Fever fans are feeling right now. The days of settling for mediocrity are over. Good enough just isn't good enough anymore. The Caitlin Clark era demands something bigger than simply sneaking into the playoffs. But here's the hard truth that no one really wants to admit. The Caitlin Clark effect is starting to cool off. Yeah, that's a bold statement, but the numbers don't lie. Jersey sales have dipped. Ticket demand isn't what it was back in 2023 or 2024. That electric rookie year buzz has faded, weighed down by questionable coaching calls, referee drama, and a supporting cast that never quite looked championship championship ready. In her first year, Caitlin took hit after hit with almost no protection from officials. Then in year 2, Coach Stephanie White made the surprising decision to take the ball out of her hands for long stretches, something that left fans scratching their heads. Now, as we approach year 3, this is the defining moment, the make-or-break season for both Caitlin Clark's rise and the Fever's future. And believe me, the front office knows exactly what's at stake,
which are supermax salaries. So core is like what they did with Kelsey Mitchell last year. I'm pretty sure they're going to core her again. Say core years, which are supermax salaries in exchange for exclusive negotiation rights. Could go away entirely, prioritizing which gives the WNBA priority over the league stat side and overseas alike. Could become stricter or more lenient. The college draft rules could also be simplified, possibly allowing USA players to enter the WNBA without needing 4 years of college. So they could essentially try out for the team. I never knew that. See, y'all, I'm new to this. So I didn't know that you need 4 years of college to even play in the W, which is great.
That's the cold reality right there. The Fever have no time to waste. They need to move fast and make bold decisions. But there's one massive obstacle standing in their way, the expansion draft. In 2026, not one, but 2 new teams are entering the league. The Portland Fire and the Toronto Tempo. And if history tells us anything, expansion drafts can change everything. Remember what went down with the Golden State Valkyries? The Fever lost Temi Fagbenle, and she absolutely thrived in Golden State afterward. That mistake still stings. They failed to protect the right players, and they paid the price. Now the Fever have to juggle 2 expansion drafts while also trying to assemble a super team. The pressure couldn't be higher. With only a limited number of roster spots they can protect, some key contributors could easily get snatched away, and that's exactly why the Kelsey Mitchell situation has become such a crucial turning point for this franchise.
Nearly solidified them winning a championship. I'm tired of this debating back and forth, players this, players that, players missing shots, missing. I don't want none of that. I want Olympians, superstar players, and more importantly, experience. Now, we seen last year, they brought experienced players in like Wnba Bonner, Natasha Howard. Natasha Howard showed up at times. Wnba Bonner was just completely out of the fight. Nigga got so bad, Stephanie White had to bench her, essentially why she quit the team. Now, with that being said, we need to get some overseas.
Did you catch that? The core designation might be gone completely, and that's a huge deal. For anyone unfamiliar, the core tag is basically the WNBA's version of a franchise tag. It's how the Fever kept Kelsey Mitchell last season, locking her in with a supermax contract to prevent her from hitting free agency. But if that rule disappears, Mitchell instantly becomes an unrestricted free agent, free to sign anywhere she wants. New York, Las Vegas, you name it. And honestly, could anyone fault her if she decided to chase a ring somewhere else? She stayed loyal to Indiana through some brutal seasons. She's earned the right to write her own story. Here's the twist though, both Kelsey Mitchell and Lexi Hull have made it clear they want to stay in Indiana. Even with all the uncertainty, they still believe in the vision being built around Caitlin Clark. That kind of loyalty is rare, and it's the exact foundation championship teams are made of. But now it's on the Fever to act fast and make sure that loyalty doesn't go to waste.
Players. Now, we seen Emma Messerschmidt come and she had high hopes, but fortunately she didn't do too good with the New York Liberty, but I feel like they just had her in a totally different role. If she was playing her normal role, she would have balled out with them, but that's neither here or there. But I'm telling you right now, we need to open up the recruiting for overseas players as well. But just like I stated, man, some news has come out from the Indy Star.
Exactly. That's the mindset the Indiana Fever need to embrace right now. No more celebrating moral victories. No more "we're still building" talk. It's time to win. Plain and simple. And the formula for that is already out there. Just look at Las Vegas. They surrounded Aja Wilson with proven vets like Candace Parker and Chelsea Gray and built a powerhouse. Or take New York. They didn't hesitate to stack up stars like Brianna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, and Jonquel Jones. These teams didn't waste years on potential. They went all in on winning now. The Fever already have the cornerstones. Caitlin Clark as their superstar and Aaliyah Boston as their anchor. Now it's about about adding the right finishing pieces. And this is where the international scouting strategy becomes game-changing. Some of the league's smartest and most polished players have international roots. Athletes who've already competed and won on the biggest stages. Think Brianna Stewart, who sharpened her game overseas, or players like Courtney Vandersloot and Wnba, who bring elite experience and championship mentality. Those are the types of players who elevate a good team into a title contender.
Going to navigate through the 2026 season. It's hard to know what the Indiana Fever will do this offseason. There are a lot of unknowns this season in the WNBA. All but 2 league veterans are free agents, and some will say shape or form the expansion draft. It's upcoming with 2 teams, the Portland Fire and the Toronto Tempo, slated to join in 2026. So not one team is joining this year, 2 teams. So we remember last year how it went when we lost Timmy Figman-Lay, which one of the worst.
And speaking of Wnba, she's actually the perfect example of how international talent can be mishandled. When she joined New York, expectations were sky high, but the role she was given never truly showcased what she does best. That's exactly the kind of mistake the Fever can't afford to repeat, because let's be real, they will bring in international players. The key is making sure those players are put in the right spots to thrive. Every piece has to fit within a system that amplifies Caitlin Clark's greatest strength, her playmaking. Clark isn't just a scorer. She's one of the most gifted passers in basketball, period. To unlock her full potential, she needs shooters, cutters, and high IQ teammates who can anticipate the game and move seamlessly within the flow of the offense. That's where international players shine. European basketball builds around teamwork, spacing, and fundamentals. Exactly the kind of traits that complement Clark's game. This is why the Fever's overseas scouting department isn't just a nice addition, it's essential. They need to find players who elevate Clark's style, not big names who disrupt it.
The planning includes making sure the players have a foundation to lean on. The Fever only have 3 players under contract: Kayla Clark, Leah Boston, and Michaela Timpsey. Like Lexi Hall, restricted free agent, Sophie Cunningham, unrestricted free agent, have indicated their interest in returning to the Fever, and Kelsey Mitchell, unrestricted free agent, is the #1 priority in advertised free agency, she stated.
So this just broke. Chloe Peterson from the Indy Star dropped a report literally minutes ago, and it confirms everything we've been suspecting. The Indiana Fever are deep in planning mode, but they're doing it completely blindfolded. Think about how insane that is. You're trying to build a championship caliber roster without even knowing what the salary cap will be. You don't know if core designations will still exist. You don't know the expansion draft rules, and get this, you don't even know if players will still be required to stay 4 years in college before declaring for the WNBA draft. That last part, absolutely wild. I didn't even realize that 4 years of college was a requirement. If that rule gets changed, it could totally reshape the league. Imagine if the WNBA could start drafting players after just 2 or 3 years, like the NBA does. Suddenly you've got a younger, faster, more athletic wave of talent flooding in early. But until those details are finalized, the Fever are basically working in the dark. They've got to be ready for anything. Is that plan A, plan B, and honestly, probably plan C all the way through Z.
They can only do what they can. This most part, Fever coach Stephanie White stated that you get exhausted if you start thinking about the what ifs, the what can happen, the what White stated. Right now, I'm just going to be where my feet are. And Chloe Peterson noted this at the bottom. But guys, as you can see, looking like the Indiana Fever could be planning on bringing some overseas players to this roster. So
and there it is, the 3 core players currently locked in: Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Damaris Dantas. That's your foundation right there. Everything else the Fever do moving forward has to be built around that trio. Lexi Hull enters the offseason as a restricted free agent, meaning Indiana can match any offer that comes her way. That's a big plus because Hull took a major step forward last season and fits perfectly as a classic 3-and-D wing alongside Clark. Then there's Sophie Cunningham. She's an unrestricted free agent, but she's already expressed a desire to come back. And honestly, the Fever should make that reunion happen. Her combination of toughness, leadership, and shooting is exactly what this roster needs in its rotation. But the real centerpiece of this this offseason? Kelsey Mitchell. General Manager Amber Cox made it clear, Mitchell is the top priority, and for good reason. She averaged over 19 points per game last year, and continues to be one of the most efficient scorers in the entire league. Pairing Mitchell with Clark in the backcourt gives Indiana one of the most dangerous offensive duos in the WNBA. The only question now is, can the Fever keep all their key players and still find room to add another superstar to push them over the top?
We need to speak up for herself, because people do not like a weak superstar. You can say what you want about LeBron, you can say what you want about any other player. These set players speak up for themselves. Caitlin Clark had to put the muscular mask on and mean face on to defend herself. We can only do so much as content creators. We can only do much as fans. Caitlin Clark has to stand up for herself and make sure she keep her fandom alive, because as of right now, this is the year that could make or break the Caitlin Clark effect. Mark my words. I'm seeing a decrease in viewership. There has been a decrease in sales, like I stated. There definitely has been a decrease in interest with Caitlin Clark. Can all of this be fixed? Yes, it can be fixed. It's any out of.
Don't wear yourself out stressing over every what if. Easier said than done, I know, but that's exactly the mindset you need when you're trying to build something great. You can't freeze up waiting for certainty. You've got to make smart moves with the info you've got and adapt as the landscape shifts. And that's the difference between a good GM and a great one. Right now, Amber Cox is being tested in ways most executives never are. She's trying to construct a championship caliber team in one of the most unpredictable times the WNBA has ever seen. But here's why I still have faith. She's locked in on the right priorities. She's emphasizing player development, expanding international scouting, keeping open communication with her roster, and focusing on key free agents who actually fit the system. Those are the controllables she always talks about, and mastering those is exactly how you turn chaos into success. Now, let's dive into what a realistic 2026 Fever roster might look like if everything falls into place.
I want to win, bro. But get down in the comment section. Let me know y'all thoughts about this. Keep them bells on. I will be back with another one. And until next time, dog, shake the haters off. I'm out of here, baby.
Facts. Nothing but straight facts. Caitlin Clark has to fully embrace her role as a superstar, and the Indiana Fever must surround her with the right pieces to make that happen. So let's imagine what this roster could realistically look like if everything falls into place. Your starting five: Caitlin Clark running point, Kelsey Mitchell at the 2, Lexi Hull at the 3, Aaliyah Boston holding down the 4, and then you bring in a veteran big, someone like Stephanie Dolson or Jonquel Jones if a trade can be made. That lineup right there, it can go toe-to-toe with anyone in the league. Off the bench, you've got Sophie Cunningham bringing energy, grit, and instant offense, while Damaris Dantas stretches the floor from the power forward spot. Add in a couple of international veterans, maybe players like Atonia Ningifa, Bernadette Hattar, or Maria Conde from top European leagues. Athletes who already know how to win and can contribute from day one. That's a 9 or 10 player rotation with serious depth and balance. A team like that could easily win 25 to 30 games and make a deep playoff push. But here's where it gets real. The Fever are standing at a crossroads. The moves they make this offseason won't just define the next season. They could shape the entire course of Caitlin Clark's career. We've seen this story before. Generational talents who didn't get the help they deserved eventually walk away. LeBron left Cleveland, Kevin Durant left OKC, Anthony Davis forced his way out of New Orleans. The WNBA isn't immune to that same pattern. If the Fever don't build a legitimate title contender around Clark, she could eventually explore other options. The good news, everything coming out of Indiana suggests the front office gets it. The international scouting push, the focus on re-signing key players, the emphasis on championship experience. These are all the right moves. Now it's all about execution. Here's the timeline. The CBA negotiations wrap around Halloween, the expansion draft hits in December, and free agency follows right after. By this time next year, we'll know whether the Fever successfully built a super team or if they let their golden window slip away. My prediction, if they can lock in Kelsey Mitchell, bring back Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham, and land 2 high-level international players, the Fever will finish as a top 3 seed with the firepower, depth, and leadership to chase a championship. But it all starts right now, in the front office. office. Amber Cox is doing what great leaders do, controlling the controllables. And honestly, that's all any of us can do. So drop your thoughts below. Which players should the Fever target this offseason? Who do you want to see join Clark in Boston? And do you think Caitlin can win her first WNBA championship in Indiana? Let's talk about it. And if you made it this far, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because we're covering every single move the Fever make this offseason. This is the most critical stretch in franchise history, and we'll be breaking down every step of it. Until next time, stay tuned, and let's hope the Fever front office delivers the super team we've all been waiting for.